Did you know that 95% of people will constantly yo-yo diet, meaning they'll constantly lose and regain the same weight over and over while trying upwards of 126 different fad diets and spending upwards of 17 years of trying to lose weight? But not you, or at least not anymore, because you are here. Welcome to Frictionless Fat Loss, the 5-day course that is going to finally get you off that dieting roller coaster to live happily ever after, never dieting again. First and foremost, before we get cranking into things here, I just want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for being here, for investing your precious time and energy into this course. It does mean the world to me because I get it. There's a lot of information out there. You got Isaac the influencer telling you have to do this. You got another social media influencer, hey, you got to do this. So it causes these feelings of being overwhelmed and you asking, what are the right answers? And a big reason why I created this course is because being lucky enough to work with hundreds of individuals who are busy professionals, busy parents, doing volunteer and charity work, that are taking care of 3 dogs as well, we need to find an actual realistic, practical approach to making progress, but also being able to sustain it in the long run. So let's get into things. This is going to be day 1, Fat Loss Simplified, where we are going to master the essentials. We're going to figure out what the facts are, what the principles are. Because that's the other thing, right? We have our principles, which we need to get to, and then we have you. We need to find that method that gets you to those principles that, again, is realistic and sustainable. So let's get into it. All right, so why are you here? You want to lose 30 to 50 pounds of stubborn belly fat. You want to end yo-yo dieting, right? That cycle of losing and regaining the same weight over and over. You want to break free of emotional eating and snacking. You want to transform your energy levels, improve those energy levels. You want to achieve sustainable, lasting weight loss and to build lasting, healthy habits and behaviors. But most importantly, one thing that is overlooked here, you want freedom. You want freedom with your nutrition, you want freedom with your fitness, and you want freedom with your overall health. So you finally want to be confident in yourself and your ability to take care of your health, to leave behind that anxiety and stress, to fully enjoy your holidays, your summers, your vacations, your anniversaries, birthday parties, and kids' birthday parties, just things that come along with everyday life. So you can finally live happily ever after. So this is what we're going to be going over today, and it will be a little bit in depth and maybe a little bit long, but only because I'm going to simplify things for you so you can finally know the knowledge, what it takes for losing weight and how to apply it, and you'll have that forever. So we're going to go over how fat loss works, the importance of protein, why strength training, how to get movement in your daily activity, the importance of prioritizing your sleep, how to actually ignite your metabolism, not which is any pills and detoxes, but how to actually ignite it, managing your stress, which in my opinion is a big one. And then finally, how to track your progress, not only physically, but mentally as well. All right, so let's get into it. So let's talk about how fat loss works. How do we actually lose weight? We lose weight by consistently being in a calorie deficit. That means you're consistently eating fewer calories than you burn off in a day. So when it comes to determining what happens with your weight, calories will be king here. So if you're eating more calories than you burn off in a day, you're going to be in a calorie surplus, causing you to gain weight. If you're eating the same amount of calories you burn off in a day, you're going to be in calorie maintenance, maintaining your weight over time. So in order to lose fat, in order to lose weight, we have to be in this calorie deficit, eating fewer calories than you burn off in a day consistently, and this is non-negotiable. This is just science. So let's break down what a calorie is. A calorie is just a unit we use to measure energy. And the way I want you to think about this is like how a mile is a unit we use to measure distance. Whether you run a mile on sand, on the street, on grass, uphill, downhill, a mile will always be a mile no matter what surface it's on. And obviously it will feel different depending on the surface. But no matter what, a mile will always equal a mile, and a calorie will always equal a calorie. So there's no need to label calories as good and bad. And a lot of times when we label these foods and label these calories as bad, and we have that bad calorie, because we're going to have the bad calorie because those are the ones that are delicious, that causes us to spiral. It causes us to feel like we failed. We did something bad. We did something wrong. So we're like, screw it. I already did something wrong, so might as well keep it going because I'm most likely going to restrict myself tomorrow on Monday to never have this food, or at least tell myself to never have this food again, versus understanding when a calorie is a calorie, as long as you're in a calorie deficit, no matter where those calories are coming from, whether it's Skittles, whether it's salad, chicken, apples, donuts, pizza, dog food, wherever those calories are coming from, as long as you're in that calorie deficit, you will lose weight over time. So a calorie is a calorie, just like how a mile is a mile. There's no need to label them as good or bad. So let's break down and figure out what your calorie target should be. So what I'll do with most of my one-on-one clients is give them a calorie range. It gives them a little bit more freedom, a little bit more flexibility, which allows them to be consistent with it for a long time. I think a lot of times we have one number we're aiming to hit, and when we go over that number by 50 calories, again, we feel like we ruined our progress or ruined the day. So we say, screw it, might as well keep going and keep raiding the cabinets and go banana pants. But in reality, is like if you're 50 calories over that one number, doesn't mean you're not in a deficit. You're just in a little bit less of a deficit. Yes, if you're hundreds and hundreds of calories over, you're a little bit more towards maintenance or even a surplus. But if you're just a little bit over and that causes you to spiral, let's ease that up a little bit. Let's create a little bit more of a range where that gives you that mental freedom. So what you're going to do here is take your goal body weight. You're going to multiply it by 11.5 and then again by 12.5. So let's say I'm 250 pounds and I'm trying to drop down to 200 pounds. I'm going to take 200, multiply it by 11.5 and then again 12.5, and that gives me the calorie range of 2,300 to 2,500 calories. Now I know what you're thinking. Damn, Kev, that's a lot. Oh man, that is a lot of calories. Are you sure this is going to work? Well, here's the issue with most calorie calculators. They're trying to cut your calories as low as possible to make progress as quickly as possible. Hence why you typically see like 1,000 or 1,200 calories or so. Just remember, no matter what calculation you use, whether it's mine, which I'm a big fan of, which obviously I'm a little bit biased, but no matter what calculation you use, it's always going to be a starting point. They're not 100% accurate. There are factors we may not know about as far as lifestyle, genetics, and whatnot, but it's just a starting point. So promise me this, start with it, be super consistent with it, and then see how progress trends along the way. And then if you need to, make adjustments. You know, obviously a good way to progress is going to be 1/4 pound to 1 pound on average per week. So after 2 months, if you're down 8 pounds, that's about a pound per week. You're making great sustainable progress. If you're down 60 pounds in 2 months, I would increase your calorie intake because that doesn't seem too sustainable to me. But if you're not making progress, which again, progress is the conversation for the end of this, but if you're not making progress just for the point of this topic, maybe you have to cut your calories just a little bit. But no matter what, just pick a calculation, start with it, be super consistent with it, and then make adjustments as you go. Because the name of this game is sustainability. When it comes to weight loss, we want to eat as much as possible while making progress as sustainable as possible. We don't want to cut our calories as low as possible, so we have to eat as little as possible to make progress as quickly as possible. We want to be able to lose weight once and for all. So how you're going to lose the weight is also how you're going to maintain it. So if you see life with pizza and donuts and ice cream and chips and all that stuff in the long run, let's learn to have it and fit it into our calories and have it in moderation versus completely cutting it back out and then we reintroduce it, but we never learned how to manage it appropriately. So having more calories, which allows you to make progress, but allows you to eat as much as possible, gives you this flexibility where you can still enjoy donuts and pizza in moderation. Life's too short not to have pizza and donuts, in my opinion. When you are so rigid and strict and trying to aim for this perfectionism, that's like prison. Not that I've ever been to prison. It's actually like one of my biggest fears ever, but it definitely doesn't sound fun, right? So we want to be able to eat as much as possible and make progress as sustainable as possible rather than being really rigid, really strict. We want that flexibility. All right, so now let's quickly talk about the importance of protein. Why is protein so essential during fat loss? So as we know, calories are king. In order to lose weight, we need to consistently be in this calorie deficit. But what we want to make sure of is that we are losing it from our adipose tissue, our fat tissue. So what protein is going to help do is help you preserve and build lean muscle mass. It's going to help you maintain your muscles while you are losing fat tissue, helping you create that toner, leaner physique, helping you have more muscle definition. Also, protein is going to help you manage your hunger. So when you're in this calorie deficit, your body's used to this many calories per day. Now we're knocking that down. So hunger can happen. It typically does happen. But what we don't want to happen is you to become this ravenous bear who just got out of hibernation and is ready to eat everything in sight. So we want to manage our hunger. So protein is going to increase your satiety, reduce your hunger. And we have 3 macronutrients: protein, carbohydrates, and fats, where protein is the most satiating macronutrient, helping you stay full and stay full for longer. And then lastly, protein is actually going to boost your metabolism. So there's this thing called the thermic effect of food, TEF. Basically what it means, if you're not familiar with it, is your body is going to burn calories in order to digest and absorb the nutrients of food. So protein, again, compared to carbs and fats, is going to have the highest thermic effect of food, meaning it's going to burn more calories, increasing your metabolism slightly and assisting in fat loss. So now let's figure out how much protein you should be eating a day. And the way I like to think about this is we have our calories. That's going to be more of a maximum number. We're just trying to hit that target, hit that range consistently, but that's the max we want to hit consistently. With protein, it's going to be more of a minimum number. So you can hit that number, but you always can go above it. And you can always eat a little bit more protein as long as you're also managing your calories. So what you're going to do here is take your goal body weight and multiply it by 0.7. So for example, if I'm trying to drop my weight down to 200 pounds, I'm going to take 200, multiply it by 0.7, and that's going to give me the target of having 140 grams of protein or more per day. But here's a quick note. Say I'm tracking my nutrition right now, tracking my food intake, and I notice my protein is at 30 grams per day. I'm not going to increase that to 140 grams right off the bat. That's a big increase. That's a big change to make. And again, we're trying to make this realistic. We're trying to make this practical. So what I would do instead is take baby steps to get up to 140 grams per day. So I might start off with having 50 to 60 grams daily. Then just focus on being consistent there. Once I feel more consistent, more confident, then I'll increase it to 70 to 80, 90 to 100, and so on and so forth till I'm eventually hitting 140 grams per day. So now let's get into why to strength train. Why should we strength train for fat loss? So before I get into this, I will say, what's important to me is that you're moving and exercising consistently. You're training your body consistently, a couple times a week. So if you like to do certain classes that you're in a groove in, and that helps you stay consistent and you enjoy it, keep doing that. I will say strength training and resistance training is going to be optimal from a fat loss standpoint and also a longevity standpoint. But as long as you're doing something, that is going to be very, very beneficial as well, because I never want to take that away from you and feel like, oh no, I have to drop all my classes. No, you can keep doing your classes, but maybe you just add in a little bit of strength training each week. Because I assume what you're looking for is a toner, leaner physique. You're trying to lose fat, maintain and build muscle mass. You're trying to feel a little bit more empowered. Trying to feel like a total badass, but also live a long, high quality life. So if that's the case, start picking up some weights. Start doing some strength training. Because again, more from a fat loss perspective, when you're in a calorie deficit, also eating enough protein, and then strength training as well, that is a fantastic recipe, an optimal recipe to losing fat, maintaining and building muscle, and creating that toner, leaner physique. So what I would recommend is strength train anywhere from 2 to 5 times a week. Even if it's a half an hour each session, 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour if you got it. But just start incorporating some strength training into your regimen each week. Now, outside of fat loss alone, again, strength training is going to be optimal from a longevity standpoint because it's going to help enhance your quality of life. Strength training has the biggest translation into everyday life tasks. Bending over to tie your shoe, that's a lunge. Squatting down on the toilet, that's a squat. Picking up a case of water, picking up a kid is a deadlift. So doing these movements are also things we do in everyday life. So again, living that long, high quality life, strength training is going to help complement that. It's going to help you get there and maintain that. So it's such as playing with your kids, lifting up groceries, playing in rec leagues with your friends. Strength training is going to be optimal for that. Also, it's going to help increase your metabolism. It actually is. So strength training builds muscle. Muscle burns more calories than fat. It is more metabolically active, meaning you're just going to naturally burn more calories throughout the day with having a little bit more muscle. Now, don't worry, you're not going to get too bulky. The individuals who you see at the gym who are huge bodybuilders, one, they're probably on something that's not just grandma's cookies and milk, but with how consistent in particular and how much time they're willing to spend on their training and invest in their nutrition takes years on end. And I don't think we're going to do that. I don't think we're willing to invest that time on energy because, again, reality is we're busy parents, we're busy professionals. We got work we got to take care of, volunteer work, charity work, dogs we got to take care of, so on and so forth, where we just don't have that time and effort, where they do, or at least they're prioritizing that. Now, our health and training and everything is a priority, but for them it's the number one thing. It's over their relationships and everything else. So, rambling on there, but strength training is going to help boost your metabolism as it builds muscle. Muscle's more metabolically active, which means you're going to naturally just burn more calories throughout the day. Next, it's going to help improve your mental health. It's shown to have a positive impact on mental health, meaning when you train your body, you strength train, you are going to relieve symptoms of anxiety, depression, and stress. I will say this, people who say gym is a therapy, it's not. Therapy is therapy, but your gym sessions, your training sessions are very therapeutic, so it can help with mental health. It can help relieve those symptoms. And then last point, when it comes to longevity, a high quality life, these 2 points are very important. As we get older, one of the most common causes of death for elderly people and adults is falling over, breaking a bone, and then becoming immobile. And this isn't to scare you, but what happens is we fall over, break a bone, we become very sedentary, and we almost like slowly start deteriorating. So what strength training does is it's going to increase your bone density, building stronger bones. So when you fall over, you're able to take on that impact. Your bone won't break. And then also, it helps your balance, meaning your chances of falling decrease, so you have better balance. So it can help. So basically, reduces your risk of falling over, but if you were to happen to fall over, you're going to be strong enough to brace it where you're not going to break a bone and become immobile. So again, not to scare you, but these are just the facts I want to share with you. And then next we're going to talk about why to get moving, why and how to increase your daily activity and why that's so important. So let's talk about this thing called NEAT. What the F is NEAT, Kev? NEAT stands for your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Simply put, it's just the calories you burn throughout movement that aren't your gym sessions, that aren't your classes, your training sessions. So it's all the movement you get outside of those. So what I like to focus on here is just your steps. You know, we all have fitness trackers. We all have these fitness watches that track our steps. So it's just a good metric to use to see how much movement you're getting outside of those gym sessions. Because here's the thing, daily movement can have a huge impact on your overall health and decrease your health risk. So as you can see here on this chart, around that 7,000 to 8,000 step count is where we see that sort of good spot. That's the spot where we want to be at. Because around that number, you can see this big decline. You have a huge decline in health risks happening when you are right around the 7,000 to 8,000 number. Obviously, it continues to decline more and more, but we can see a big decrease right in that first 1,000 to 7,000 steps. So your risk of mortality decreases with the more steps you take. And one thing I want you to think about here is you have 168 hours in a week. If you train for, let's say, 2 to 4, 2 to 5 of those hours, what do the other 166 hours look like during the week? So I know we also work 40 hours, maybe a little bit more. We also sleep about 56 hours, hopefully. That's 8 hours a day. But that's still roughly 67 to 70 hours of time to assess. So if you're someone who gets 2,000 steps a day, 3,000 steps a day, that's fine. But start to assess your time. Could you start investing in a little bit more time, even a couple minutes, of just getting some walking? Start incorporating some more daily movement. So what I like to do is aim for that 7,000 steps per day as a bare minimum. But just like your protein intake, again, if you are at 2,000 steps a day right now, maybe we just increase that by 500 to 1,000. Or maybe you just start incorporating 1 walk per day, 2 walks per day, anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. Because that 10 to 20 minutes can get you upwards of an extra 1,000 to 2,500 steps, which will, if you're at 2,000, basically double it, almost double it. So I just want you to assess your time. See where you can sneak in an extra 10-minute walk. Maybe it's in the morning before you go to work. Maybe it's on your lunch break. Maybe it's after dinner. Whatever it is, just start to break it down and see where you can get a little bit more daily movement. And now we're going to talk about the importance of sleep. Why you should be prioritizing your sleep, especially when it comes to fat loss, but even your health. Because sleep is your best friend. It is truly the number one supplement you should be taking seriously, especially when it comes to optimizing weight loss, training performance, even having mental clarity. So when Isaac the Influencer says to you, just sleep when you're dead, be respectful, but tell him he sucks. Tell him he's the worst. Because when it comes to sleep, that is your charging. That is you plugging in your iPhone and it charging overnight. When you go to bed, you are charging yourself in so you can recharge your batteries to have more mental clarity the next day, have more physical energy the next day. We want to keep those batteries charged as much as we can. So sleep is going to impact your decision making, because when you lack sleep, you're a little tired the next day, you're a little cranky, and you tend to make the convenient, comfortable decisions throughout the day. That workout you were going to get, maybe it's half-assed, or maybe you didn't get it at all, or you didn't get any movement throughout the day. Maybe you become a little careless with your nutrition. You're kind of snacking, being mindless about it. You're ordering from DoorDash Dan. You're going through fast food for all your meals. And that might not line up with your goals for that day as it was planned to. So getting consistent sleep, quality sleep, can help you make choices that align with your goals so you can stay on track, stay consistent with your nutrition and training. But also, when you lack sleep, we have these two hormones called ghrelin, which is also known as your hunger hormone, and then leptin. So ghrelin is going to signal when you're hungry. Leptin is going to signal when you're full and satisfied. When you're lacking sleep, your ghrelin levels end up increasing, and then your leptin levels end up decreasing, which means you're going to feel hungry and hungrier more often, with those hormone levels being a little bit out of whack for the day. So we want to make sure we're getting enough sleep, because it is going to be your tool, your free supplement for better energy and better recovery. As Red Bull may give you wings, sleep is freaking superpowers, baby. So aim to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. And I know if you're a new parent watching this right now, you're like, Kev, can you just pipe it real quick? I'm going to tell you, you suck and you're the worst, not Isaac the Influencer. So if you're a new parent right now, I get it. I don't personally get it, but working with many parents and parents of newborns, just do the best with what you got. That's all I can say, is do the best with what you got. So tips on how to improve your sleep: keep the room as dark as possible. Get blackout curtains, cover all the lights in the room. Try to keep your room cool, around 67 degrees. I personally do 69 degrees, but 67 degrees roughly. Shut down your phone, TV about 30 minutes before bed, and then try to set a circadian rhythm, your internal bed clock, going to bed and waking up at consistent times each day. Because when you go to bed at the same time each day, your body will naturally unwind at that time each day. And then when you wake up at the same time each day, your body will naturally wake up, have a little bit easier time waking up at the same time each day. So try to be consistent there. Avoid things like caffeine 6 hours before bed, alcohol before bed. Alcohol, I'll say, haven't been able to track my sleep. If I've had a drink or two before going to bed, my resting heart rate is spiked way up. Typically maybe it's around like mid to low 50s. It will spike up to 70s to 80s, basically meaning it's working overtime, impacting the quality of my sleep. And then don't be afraid. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money here, but don't be afraid to invest in a quality mattress. You're spending roughly 1/3 of your life on it if you're sleeping 8 hours a night. So don't be afraid to invest in a quality mattress. And then as far as like falling asleep, if you have a hard time with that, try doing some meditation, or at least do some deep breath work, diaphragmatic breathing, which is basically taking you from the sympathetic state, which is your like fight or flight state, into what's known as a parasympathetic state. It's more of a calm, relaxing state. So when you take a big breath in and a nice slow breath out, it starts to calm your nervous system down. It helps wind you down. So that's why meditation is great too, because there's such a focus on your breathing there. So if you have a hard time going to bed, try to do some deep breath work or do some meditation. Now let's go over how to boost your metabolism, how to actually ignite that metabolism of yours, because it's not going to be any waist wraps, any detoxes, any magical pills, because that's just a bunch of BS. but actual strategies to boost and increase your metabolic rate. Because here's the truth. There's a good chance your metabolism isn't broken. I know we like to use that as an excuse as far as I wish I was my 21-year-old self where I could just eat whatever and lose weight or not gain weight. But the reality is your metabolism doesn't change all that much from when you're 20 to 60. What changes are your habits, your behaviors, and just your lifestyle. Yes, you are maybe an active kid doing a lot of active things in your 20s, but maybe you become a little bit more sedentary. Maybe you have a job that's not as active, making you become more sedentary throughout the day. Maybe it's a change in nutrition, a change in behaviors that are causing you to maybe gain weight or struggle to lose weight. So we want to make some lifestyle changes here. And if you do think something's going on with your metabolism, go talk to your doctor, not Isaac the influencer, because then you can find out the facts. Because there are things where they can impact your metabolism. So let's find out the facts and see if there's something going on so we can actually find a solution. So talk to your doctor, see what's going on, where they can guide you to that solution, or maybe we can fix some lifestyle changes because there's actually nothing wrong with your metabolism. So let's break down your metabolic rate, how you burn calories throughout the day. There are 4 components here. You have your basal metabolic rate, which is your BMR. That's about 70% of the calories you burn throughout the day. So in order for you to stay alive, to keep the lights on, you're still burning calories because your body still has to do its functions. Your lungs to breathe, heart to pump blood. So your body's still doing things in order for you to stay alive, and it's burning calories. It's using energy. Next up is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. We just recently went over this. That's roughly about 15% of your calories burned. Now that can be different for every individual. If you take like a construction worker who's very active throughout the day, it's going to be a lot higher versus maybe someone who's working behind the desk, not getting that movement throughout the day. But roughly 15% throughout the day. Again, that's just the movement you're getting outside of exercise. But then you have your exercise activity thermogenesis, which is your gym sessions, your training sessions, the activities, the calories you're burning through exercise. And then we have our thermic effect of food, the TEF, so the calories you're burning during digestion, the absorption of nutrients process. That's about 10%. So how we're actually going to boost our metabolism, as we said, get more movement, get more walking in, get more steps in. Moving more throughout the day means you're burning more calories throughout the day. So increase those steps. Aim to get 7,000 plus steps a day. Increase your steps by 500 to 1,000. Just add in a walk or two throughout the day for maybe 10 to 20 minutes. Strength train. As we know, strength training helps us build more muscle, meaning muscle is more metabolically active than fat. So we're going to burn more calories just naturally throughout the day with having a little bit more muscle. And not only that, when you're strength training, you're getting stronger. You're getting more endurance. So you're actually going to lift more weights, get faster, get more repetitions in, and then just move more overall, meaning you'll continue to burn more calories in general throughout the day. And then lastly, again, we went over this. Eat your dang protein. As we know, protein has the highest thermic effect of food compared to fats and carbs. So in order for your body to digest it, to absorb it, it's going to burn more calories. It's going to use more energy in order for that process to happen. All right, so now let's talk about managing stress. This is such a crucial component when it comes to a successful fat loss journey, a sustainable fat loss journey, because the way I like to think about stress is we have this bucket and all the stressors in our life go in that bucket. Whether it's working out, which is a good stress, right? It's to improve your health, or being chased by a bear, right? Stress is going to be stress to the body. And if that bucket fills up and starts to overflow, what happens? It creates a mess, right? We start to maybe spiral a little bit, binge eat, emotionally eat. So we want to have a better understanding of our stress and dealing with our stress so we can better manage it, because a lot of times we are suppressing those feelings. Maybe we're distracting ourselves with coping with food. As a lot of us have a good idea of what to do with diet and exercise, what's keeping you from being consistent? What's the challenges you're facing from a stress emotional standpoint that maybe we need to deal with? We need to give ourselves space for so we can, again, be consistent with our training and nutrition. So stress and emotional eating, what typically leads to emotional eating? The stressors of maybe work, maybe you're dealing with a lot of pressure at work or a toxic work environment. Maybe there's some financial worries. Maybe some things are going on with your relationships. You have some relationship issues. Maybe you have a toxic relationship. And that's when we use food for comfort, for a little bit of pleasure, to distract ourselves, for entertainment, joy, happiness. We use food to cope with these emotions. But real quick before we move on, I want you to look at these behaviors as not bad. Because a lot of times I think we beat ourselves up because like, oh, why do I do this? Why do I do this? Why do I do this? What's wrong with me? But I get it. I get that this doesn't serve you anymore. This behavior is something that's keeping you away from your goals. But maybe for so long, during some maybe chronic stress times, maybe through trauma you haven't dealt with, food was always there to protect you. It was there to give you some pleasure, some entertainment, some distraction, some joy, some happiness. So what if this behavior was actually good for you in a period of time? So I think makes a good point where it's like, hey, this was here for you for a reason. Again, it's not here for you anymore. We're like, we have these goals, so we're going to switch the way we manage our stress. But for so long, it was there to protect you. So what we want to do is start recognizing what is causing the stress. What are the stress we feel? What are the emotions we're feeling? Are we sad? Are we angry? Are we lonely? Are we fatigued, distracted, anxious? What is this stress? What are these emotions we are feeling? And where are they coming from? Is it from your boss? Is it from a coworker? Is it from mom or dad or a brother or sister? Maybe it's a friend you have. Maybe it's your partner. Maybe again it's finances. Maybe it's your mindset. Maybe you're thinking about being perfect all the time. Maybe it's the future. Maybe it's your health, or maybe you get worried about social situations. But again, like I said, this is going to be a big topic we talked about on day 4. So dealing with negative emotions. How to develop healthy coping mechanism when recognizing stress. First and foremost, like I just said, we want to create awareness. We want to recognize where and what's causing this. Because when we are aware of it, we have a better understanding of where this is coming from and what we can sort of prepare ourselves for. Basically, creating awareness is just educating yourself on yourself. And then what we can do from there is start to make a switch. So we can take that action of eating and give ourselves some space and be like, all right, let me do some breathing. Let me calm my system down, my nervous system down. Let me go for a walk. Let me do some journaling. Let me deal with these emotions a little bit. Give myself some space to feel how I feel rather than suppressing them any further. Then, like I said, journaling is an excellent activity, an excellent habit to create where it gives you space to feel your emotions, to process them, to become more clear on them. And all you're doing is taking this moment. Doesn't have to be long. It could be a couple minutes, but you're just putting down on paper how you feel. You're taking these thoughts and putting them on paper, and it helps just create some organization for yourself. Rather than it being stuck in here and it's kind of going all over the place, we're taking it out, putting it on paper so we can have more, again, self-awareness, have more clarity, and even the act in itself, becoming more clear, is a sense of stress relief. Then meditation, we've talked about this a little bit, where we can be in this very sympathetic state, this fight or flight state. We're doing some breath work, practice being more present, can bring this sense of calmness, relaxation to your body. It can help enhance your focus and concentration in the moment and just teach your mind to be present. And again, help you have space to feel these emotions. Then other ways we can do this, as you know, when you're having stressful moments and that stress is out 9 out of 10, is again, giving yourself a little bit of space, whether it's going for a walk, maybe it's getting a massage, doing a little spa day, doing some self-care work. Maybe you call a loved one, someone you can talk to. Maybe it's listening to some music. Maybe it's taking a warm shower to sort of cool down a little bit. Engaging in a hobby. Maybe it is doing some breath work. Again, meditation, just 5 big diaphragmatic breaths, which is research to calm your nervous system down, right? Taking you from that sympathetic state to that parasympathetic state. Then also a huge thing I'm a big component of, I do it myself, is going to therapy, because it gives you a safe space to talk about and explore your thoughts and feelings. It helps you get to the root cause of these problems and have the proper guidance. And the biggest thing I get from therapy myself is just being understood. Again, not feeling like anything's wrong, not feeling like you're broken or whatnot, but you're feeling understood where it makes sense. And then you can start to connect the dots a little bit more. Again, being more educated on yourself, being more self-aware, which in return will allow personal growth. And now we're going to talk about tracking your progress. Not only physical progress, but mental progress as well. Because yes, we want to make physical changes to our body and to our health. But in order to make it sustainable, to make it stick, we also want to recognize the mental progress as well. So again, the name of the game is sustainability. As physical progress is great, the mental wins along the way are just as important. So when it comes to tracking your physical progress, that's where we're going to start first. There's 4 ways we're going to track it. First is going to be your scale. This is the one most of us are used to, but I think we use it in not the greatest way, where we're seeing how our weight tracks day to day, and when it goes up and down, it fluctuates all over the place, but it becomes a little bit mentally exhausting because when the day it fluctuates up, we feel like we did something wrong. But in reality is, the scale is going to fluctuate day to day, even week to week. That is very normal. If you eat a little bit more food than you did the day before, even though you might still be in your calories, you might weigh a little bit more. There's more food volume in your stomach. If you eat a little bit more sodium, a little bit more carbs, not that carbs are bad, but those types of things will retain water. Where extra water will cause you to weigh a little bit more. If you didn't poop one day and you still have a bunch of poop in your stomach, that will cause you to weigh a little bit more the next day. So just understand there's a difference between weight loss and then fat loss. If you want to lose weight, chug a bottle of laxatives, poop it all out. I promise you're going to weigh less. I do not recommend that, but I promise you're going to weigh a lot less. But that doesn't mean you lost fat. So when it comes to tracking your weight, this is what you're going to do. You're going to weigh yourself daily. And over the course of 4 to 8 weeks, you're going to see how your weight trends. Again, it's going to fluctuate day to day, week to week, but look big picture when it comes to tracking the scale, tracking your weight. So as you can see in this picture, there are spikes up and down in this climb I've had. But we can see big picture. This is over the course of about 6 to 8 months. We see a big downward trend happening. And even like this, they had a huge fluctuation for a good chunk of time here. But that's okay. They stuck with it, kept going, and we can see this big downward trend happening. So when it comes to the scale, look big picture. It's going to fluctuate day to day and see how it trends over a longer period of time. Then we also have our progress pictures. So what you're going to do is take your picture, use your underwear, in a bathing suit. You're going to do front, side, and then your back. And then again, every 4 weeks or so, you're going to compare progress pictures and seeing if you're looking a little bit more slimmer, having more muscle definition. And if so, you're making progress. Measurements. You're going to measure your waist and hips. So waist, basically belly button all the way around to the other side of the belly button. Hips is going to be more of your butt. Like think about the peak of your butt, the midsection of your butt, all the way around. Guys, you can do chest as well if you want. That's totally up to you. But again, we're going to measure this every 4 weeks or so and see if measurements are making progress. And here's the thing. If these areas are making progress, but this one isn't, it's still working. If you're physically changing, getting more defined, getting slimmer, measurements decreasing, and this isn't moving all that much, well, you're physically changing. There's fat loss happening. So screw what this says because there's something actually happening. And then lastly, pick out a pair of jeans. Pick out any clothes that feel a little snug right now. And see over time, every 4 weeks or so, if they start to feel a little bit looser, get a little bit more comfortable. Because again, if that tight pair of jeans feels a little bit more comfortable over 4 weeks or feels a little bit looser, something's happening, right? They're feeling more comfortable, again, looser. You're slimming down, losing fat. And again, if that's not moving, but you're fitting into clothes more comfortably, you are making progress. And obviously, this is a shout out to my guy Travis, wearing these shorts a long time ago. We got to work together for a couple of years, and look at them now. Look how big those look on him. So just understand, these areas of progress are just as valuable as this area of progress. We tend to lean to the scale, but make sure you have multiple areas to see if you're making progress. Because the other thing too is, this may not move, and we're not tracking these things, so we feel like what we're doing isn't working. But in reality, it's like these things are making progress. Your progress pictures, your measurements in your clothes, but we don't know that because we don't have that information. We don't have that data. So we tend to give up because we're only looking at the scale. So make sure you have multiple forms of progress you're tracking physically. Then lastly, we want to make sure we're tracking our behaviors. Just recognizing how we're feeling, the mental progress here. Maybe you're more consistent with your habits, like working out, eating more protein, tracking your calories, whatever it may be, and that's the most consistent you've ever been. That's progress. Maybe you're decreasing the amount of binge or overindulgent episodes you're having. Maybe you're doing it 2 to 3 times a week, where now it dials down to 1 time a week, to 1 time every other week, to 1 time a month. That's progress. Maybe you're eating foods guilt-free. You have the donut and you eat it, you enjoy it, where you typically feel guilty and feel like you ruined your progress, but now you enjoy it and you're like, everything's fine, and it allows you to just continue staying consistent. Maybe saying no to the donut is also progress. We're used to always saying yes, but you're like, hey, I really want to stay aligned with my goals here. I want to have, good energy, good digestion. Right now, I'm not going to have the donut. I'm going to say no to it. So that's progress as well. Maybe it's improved energy levels, improved mood, making gains in the gym, getting stronger, building some muscle, have better sleep, you're reducing cravings, better digestion, feeling more mentally clear. Your confidence is increasing as well. So these are areas that, again, are just as valuable when it comes to making progress, because these are the areas we need to recognize that will make the progress stick. All right, so that is it for today. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, I'm always here to help. So you can shoot me an email, shoot me a DM on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, do not hesitate to reach out. I love chatting with individuals, so do not hesitate to reach out. But that's all we have for today. Thank you again for so much. I'm blocking my head here. Thank you so much for being here. And I'll see you for day 2 with our Food Relationship 101.